Hey everybody, welcome to the final weekend of the 2020 Collegiate Call of Duty weekend. It is time, as we just saw in what was a wonderful video, 72 teams that entered this season of the Collegiate Call of Duty League. 32 entered playoffs 2 weeks ago, and now as of this weekend, we have 12 teams left. My name is Infinity, and for today's cast, at least for the first couple of matches, I'll be joined by proper Andy. Something tells me that this is just going to be a very special weekend.
This weekend is going to be jam-packed with a lot of good Call of Duty, Brody. You are not wrong. That video couldn't have compilated it any more better than what we're going to be looking at this entire weekend, too. Because, now that we're just inching our way through the bracket, which you could end up following along with yourself if you'd like to, these teams, even down to the losers bracket, it's stacked to the high heaven.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, this is where it gets to crunch time, right? I mean, we have the last 2 days of action today and tomorrow when we have our final 3 or 4 matches. It's just going to be so awesome. I'm so excited because at this point in time, that first round, the first couple of rounds, you saw a few sweeps. Most of them, most of the matches were 3-0s. Getting some of the sort of, I guess, the lower tier teams out of the way. But these matches, these are where everything gets spicy. And trust me, guys. We have some spicy matches to kick off today, of course, both on our Alpha stream and on our Bravo stream here. If you guys do want to check any of that Bravo stream action out, I believe it's College Coach Bravo or something like that. But yeah, so that is what we have for you guys. But let's talk about our first match of the day, guys. We are currently in the quarterfinals, I believe, and we have Humber going up against Penn State Whites, number 3rd seed, against the number 9 seed, and you can see the rosters on your screen. Proper, why don't you do us a nice job and tell us all these players?
Well, Humber Esports, they kind of speak for their own self. You got GoTunes, Kush Point, Stevie, Figure, and Crozier. This squad of Humber has been, quite devastating. They left the entire regular season completely undefeated. They've only dropped a handful of maps going through that. One of those maps was actually taken by Penn State White, Ken, Shade, Senso, Sparky, and Report, who our first time on broadcast was actually last week on playoffs, to where myself and Visions, we actually got to commentate over Penn State White versus Full Sail. And boy, howdy, I tell you, this Penn State White squad, they come to play. They are quite devastating. Will they be able to mirror the pace and the matchup against Humber Esports? It's pretty tough to tell, because Penn State White, although you can end up looking at them individually, Humber Esports individually as well, they are quite the troublesome team to be dealing with. So with that being said, too, with Humber Esports, when you're thinking about this squad for Humber Esports, you can go and pull up their stats for me real quick, Benji. They have a lot to be talking about, too. You can see those 4 maps that they lost throughout the regular season were all through the Search and Destroy, though with Hardpoint in the regular season was 19-0. Taking a look at them through their playoff season, again, Search and Destroy. A little bit of a fumble for them per se, but Hardpoint domination, when it comes down to the respawn and you can rely on individual gunplay, yeah, this team definitely knows what they're doing. You're more or less looking at individuals such as Cushpoint, who currently sits at a 1.24 KD in their Hardpoint. Stevie's at 1.37, and Figure is at 1.27 as well. This team definitely understands what it takes to make or break hills, and breaking them pretty quickly, you can definitely understand them to do. So taking a look at Penn State White, on the other hand, Penn State White, you're going to be looking at Shades. Shades is currently sitting at a 1.51 KD alone for Hardpoint. When it goes down to the other modes too, this player plays fast along with Sens. Overall, through the regular season, you can see they had dropped a few maps along the way. This freshman roster, if you will, has been making waves all throughout their division and into playoffs too. We were definitely expecting for their match last week against Full Sail to be a little bit closer, though it was a 3-1. It definitely did not look that way in a couple of instances of that map. Through playoffs alone, they've only dropped 1 Search and Destroy map. Their Hardpoint is 3-0, their Domination 2-0 as well. This team of Penn State White, I definitely am going to keep my eyes out for, whether they lose this match or whether they continue onward into the winner's bracket. It's definitely going to be tough to say what we could end up seeing from either of these two teams, because for Humber, for this team, a lot of talk has been coming around this roster. I've been saying that they haven't necessarily been putting their nose to the practice stone. But Penn State White, on the other hand, they have been keeping themselves pretty afloat as far as scrimming out and keeping themselves more than prepared. So without further ado, we actually have a quick interview with none other than Humber's GoTune. So let's go ahead and put that on screen for me, Benji. It's a pretty good one.
Guys, I'm here with Tunes from Humber College, a school that honestly, before last year, couldn't even tell you where it was. No idea. A little sleepy town out in Ontario, Canada. But you guys kind of came through the scene last year in season one with electric fashion. The team before this current roster, or most of this current roster, played on it was just like 6-6. And now you go a year and a half later, you guys are on a 37-game win streak. Tunes, tell me about Humber College, where it is, what you guys do out there, maybe what your major is specifically, and kind of how this team came to be.
Sure. So Humber College is located in or just outside of Toronto. It's like Rexdale, like a small little city. Um, we pretty much came together. It was like complete coincidence. Like I seen Stevie walking to class one day, and like someone had told me like briefly that there's a Humber College COD team, and I told him about it, and so we both looked into it more. Ended up on the team eventually, and then someone told me Cush Point goes to Humber too, so I messaged him. He got on the team, and ever since then, we've been, like you said, 37-game winning streak. A little bit more about myself. I was a business major. I was getting a Bachelor of Commerce in Management Studies. I actually just graduated though, so now I'm technically not even in Humber. But yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's the little background of Humber.
Awesome. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit more because, obviously being the defending champions from season one, there was kind of a lot kind of riding behind this team going into season two, but it didn't come without a little bit of controversy as you guys were playing with a different fifth and people were saying, Humber's not practicing. They're going to get upset by teams like Rutgers and Penn State White. Kind of take me through the journey of that regular season.
So the beginning of the regular season, yeah, there was a lot of controversy, I guess, like a lot of skepticism, or that's not the right word, but something like that. Yeah, a lot of people are just doubting us because Nakama, our fifth player from last year, graduated, um, which was kind of like weird, just because like we kind of like in a sense showed him how to play the game and molded him into a great player he is. And then we picked up a new fifth that we knew from the local scene in Toronto, who is a great player. So we started off the season. We played Rutgers and Penn State. I think within the first couple of weeks, we beat Rutgers pretty easily, and then we played Penn State in some pretty close games. But after that, it was kind of just like an easy road up until playoffs because those were the best teams in our divisions, and we played them really early on. So we filled in with like our subs, like whoever wanted to play could pretty much play. Because we were hoping we were going to be playing with our fifth D'Angelo that played the first couple weeks. And then towards the end of the season, he said he couldn't play anymore, and so now we're here playing with our sub Dylan or Crozier.
Yeah, Crozier's been a guy that I think most people in the CCL are familiar with, but you guys had mentioned, I think when I talked to you before we actually did our prediction stream, you were saying that the practice has been getting a little bit better for you guys. You've been playing a little bit more often, but even still, your first two games through playoffs, you drop both search and destroy. So as you're starting to go through the rest of your playoff run, what are some of the things that you guys learned from the first weekend going into the second weekend that you're trying to adjust on?
So I think the big takeaway from the first weekend was that we have to like actually like take every single game serious. Like I know it sounds really bad, but like put in 100% effort every single map, every single series, every single life for that matter. Because we went back and watched like our stream, and we were throwing away a lot of easy or like stupid lives that we shouldn't have been doing or should have been throwing away. And then to combat like our bad S&D performance last weekend, we've been going over S&D every single day, going through like setups, routes to take. Been practicing it a little bit. So yeah, we've been really going over that. And today I think we're going to be going over getting some more S&D reps in and playing some more domination because we were struggling a bit in that, but. Yeah, we've been practicing almost every single day for the last couple of weeks, I want to say, or just talking about how we want to play the game every single day. So it's been good. We've been practicing quite a bit. I'm pretty happy about it.
So for you guys to go back to back, in your mind, who's the biggest obstacle in your way to get through that challenge?
Right now, like we scrimmed GSU the other day, and they took quite a few maps off of us. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
They're really good. We had a couple players not playing like how we usually play, but I think our biggest competition right now is just the game in front of us. It's PSU White. Like they're a really solid team, and a lot of people have been gassing them up. I've been gassing them up like all season. Like I know they're a really good team. Realistically, like I'm just kind of like looking at it like game by game. Just PSU White right now. That's all I'm caring about. GSU after that, HAMU or Concord, whoever wins that. And yeah, just one game at a time. That's all I'm worried about right now.
It's a good mindset to have. Tunes, thanks so much for joining me. And of course, best of luck through the weekend, my man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
fantastic interview. Thank you, Mr. Toons, and thank you, Mr. Shift, for giving us that fantastic interview. But that's not the only one we got, too. I'm sure that you were wondering. Yeah, Humber's got a lot to talk about. They're walking into the number 3rd seed, but Penn State White, the new kids on the block, definitely have a lot to prove and have a lot of moxie to be bringing to the table. So Mr. Allen Hold Shift also got to sit behind the scenes and did a quick interview with Ken. Ken is sitting at a fantastic KD ratio across all game modes. They're definitely positive on every single one. Their domination is where they ring on true at 1.20 through playoffs thus far. So without further ado, let's go ahead and show that interview with Hold Shift and Ken from Penn State White.
I'm here with Ken from Penn State White, a team that is brand new to the CCL this year, but is making quite a run through playoffs at the moment. But Ken, I want to hear about you. Who are you? What year are you in school? What's your major? And how did you find the other guys to make up this Penn State White squad?
I'm currently a freshman at Penn State, perspective for business. The Penn State White squad really came together because me, Shades, and Senso, early on in the fall, we just started looking around into the COD division and we found our div head. And then we found Sparky, and luckily we found Report because initially he wasn't on the team, but he was definitely a great addition to our team. I think our team is doing well now, and we've come together pretty well.
You guys had a really difficult start to the season, playing up against the defending champions pretty much first, right off the bat.
Yeah.
But what was it like playing through this first CCL season as a squad?
Oh, dude, it was amazing. Like I've made so many friends through the first CCL season. My teammates, especially, like Report and Mitch, Sparky. We didn't really know them before like the CCL started, but now they're probably like 2 of the best friends that we've made during our first year.
It's pretty impressive stuff, and we'd love to kind of bring the community together as a whole. But with that, you mentioned you guys are finding yourself through playoffs doing really well. You had a very convincing regular season. How much did you guys get time to like practice together? Because I know there was some controversy talking about Humber and how maybe they're not having the same kind of rehearsal etiquette that other squads are. Did you guys put more of a structured practice system in place when you were going through the regular season and even now going through the playoffs?
Honestly, dude, we've just been grinding. If I'm being honest, like we've been playing like 6 hours a day, probably more. Like it's just we really don't have like a set schedule, but we've just been playing a lot as much as we can.
I'm just going to ask you something a little bit off the normal questionnaire that we have here. Do you guys find that you guys are being really, really strong, like in the respawn specifically? I know that you guys had a couple of things pop up in Search and Destroy in the playoffs in specific. You guys had that loss versus Full Sail. Did you guys really, like, what did you take away, I guess is the question, from that first week going to the second week of playoffs?
I think we pretty much realized that like we had to be well-rounded in like all game modes. So that's pretty much what we tried to do like over this 2-week break. And right now, I think we're pretty solid in pretty much everything right now. So,
fair enough. And that was, again, I think a lot of people's minds just looking at the seeding, a pretty convincing upset versus a very good Full Sail team. But in your mind, what are some of the big key opponents that are still in playoffs that could possibly give you guys the biggest run for your money?
oh, dude. All right. So, TAMU's in the tournament. They're a team to look out for. I think GSU and Humber are also like pretty strong opponents that we have to go up against. I think we can do well, though.
Fair enough. And you guys, like you mentioned, you played Humber the first time, but it was a long time ago. Are you feeling more prepared to play up against them again?
Oh, definitely. We've come together a lot more as a team now than when we were at the beginning of the season. I think we're a lot more prepared now to play our best.
Fair enough. Well, best of luck there to you, Ken. Thank you for taking the time to sit down and kind of let everyone know a little bit more about you. And hopefully we see Penn State White make that run continue here in the playoffs.
Thanks, Shift.
You got it, buddy. Florida, welcome back. Believe it or not, I am not Infinity. Infinity's having some internet problems, so I'm jumping in here last minute again to Hold Shift. This is Proper, the original duo from season 1 of the CCL back at it, as we're getting Penn State, White, and Humber. Still the same matchup. Everything is still set up the same way. But Proper, you were saying that just before we were about to get into the game, this is an interesting map set for this matchup in specific.
Yeah, no, this matchup is pretty special in a way. This is a reprise of the regular season between these two teams, to where Humber actually was able to take it. But for Penn State White, what's pretty impressive for them is that they were able to walk away with the S&D of Ramaza the last time that they played. And for this match in conclusion, you see right below our beautiful faces, Gunrunner Ramaza is where we're starting off. That is a literal reprise of the regular season match for this team. Last time around, Humber was able to take this Gunrunner hardpoint 250 to 184. Gonna see if Penn State White's gonna be able to take it, and well, off that first 50-50, I think it's starting to look a little different.
Looking more like 90-10 right there, proper. Not necessarily a 50-50 as 4 will fall quickly. Stevie's only able to take 1. And very wisely, Penn State White will generate a bit of time here on the first hard point. A couple of trades now starting to fight their way back in for Humber Esports, but still, the biggest task here is the fact that they're spawning on the unpreferred side. So you've already given up 8 seconds worth of time, but more importantly, we're 30 seconds through this hill, and you've made no progress towards P2 yet.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough, too. You can see player number 9, Figure, wants to be cutting a little bit across and want to be trying to make a little bit of entrance through these showers. This frag is going to be pretty good, so that way they can start moving on towards where the CDOM flag normally resides. A little bit tough for Ware, considering there's still a lot of members to be able to cut through, so they get cut down. Really good entrance here for Penn State White as they hold on to the P2 spawns.
Very good indeed. 5 seconds until our second hard point will spawn in. And like you mentioned, everything coming to the cargo containers, and it's finding absolutely nothing. These 50-50 trades are fine in your mind if you're Penn State White. As you see a couple of players spawning by the water tower, will make sure that the train yard is completely cleared up. But this is going to provide an opportunity for Humber to make their way through the back. As you see, 2 members will actually get through that back door. So now Penn State White has to fight off these players in the back while dealing with potential pinch from the front. But this is actually super fortunate. The spawns for Penn State White will actually be on the south side of the map, allowing them to contest this hill for a little bit longer. But as we get to our 30-second mark, they need to start making their way over towards the water tower side if they want to turn this P2 into a P3.
This is where things can get a little rough. You see the setup here for Penn State. Hunker down inside of P2. 20 seconds left. And wisely enough, Humber Esports, they're not going to give this another chance to able to get hit. They are able to contest as much time as possible, which is good. This lead has not gone too out of hand in a way of speaking for Penn State White, as Humber then take that rotation over towards P3, where they can start to get a solid 30-plus seconds on that hill.
So far, it's a game of give and take. Both players have given up something, but they've taken things away immediately afterwards. Figure now responsible for watching things from the A-Dot. He'll find 2. There's a third around the corner. He's going to try to chase him down with a knife and thinks the better of that, as Penn State White are opting to go all the way through the wood side to try to hit towards boxes. And now Crozier, next player up, needs to deal with report, won't be able to do that. So Penn State White, this is their first big attempt to try to break the hill, and the kill feed is completely blue. Absolutely clean and polished from Penn State White as they get an absolutely picture-perfect break.
This is actually really nice to see from Penn State White, too. You can see with player number 1, Sparky spawning in behind the warehouse side and able to take down player number 9 in Figure. Shades is going to be able to gun them down. This means that they're going to be able to hold on the spawns for P5. This is so influential for the rest of the hills shift. As you know, we're moving over to the cargo containers next, but the biggest money hill of them all next to P2 is P5, right where the spawns for Penn State White reside.
Penn is 11-4 through 3 hills. He was the big catalyst for finding that opening break spree that Penn State White went on. Could he potentially open up the hill here? He finds 1. That'll open the door just a hair, but can the rest of Penn State White barge on through? The Nittany Lions, they're looking absolutely ferocious as they get a bit of early contest. Shade still holding his life on the outside near the woods as Ken and Sparky will combine for 2. This has been a great look for Penn State White through this first rotation as they get the break.
You can just see it's not necessarily always just coming down to gun skill, but being at the right place at the right time. They understand gun runner hardpoint to a fine tee. Maybe you go back and you look at the tape. Shades goes for 3, by the way. Shades almost able to get the 4th, and this is why I highlighted that player. You got to be watching out for this AR player. They are able to play this map almost like an MP5, but Penn State White, you can see, putting themselves in the right place at the right time, understanding to where Humber are going to be coming from, and they can end up pinching them with either outnumbering them, not necessarily outgunning them, but just getting them mid-sprint. It's just so smart for Penn State White as they back off that little itty bit of scrap time, so that way they can set themselves up here for P5. Their lead is growing past 40 at this point.
Teams just barely across the border from one another. Penn State really in the middle of Pennsylvania. It's only about a 5-hour drive between the two of them, but there's looking to be a much wider gap in this game at the moment. As again, Senso holding his life. He finds 1, he finds 2, nearly takes the 3rd. It's going to be down to Ken. Last player left. He's waiting for his teammates very wisely before they re-hit. And again, this is beautiful for Penn State White. You mentioned it in the pre-show, Proper. This is a group of mostly freshmen, but they're looking like they've been playing COD for years as the first rotation will come to a conclusion with Penn State White up around 140 to 68.
And look at them, too. already off of there. They are able to influence spawns right over by the cargo containers. They're looking to already influence P2 spawns yet again. Sparky going big. That's a huge elimination onto Cush Point. And now they're going to be able to put themselves on the backside of this train car and really start laying in the damage. Player number 4, that's Senso. They're going to try to anger out these spawns. The next player to try to worry about this is actually going to be GoTunes. GoTunes is going to go down. And this is so massive now for Penn State White as they have flipped the map yet again shift. This is through 3 different hills that they're able to influence spawns for Money Hills.
Oh, man, I mean, again, this is a map that Humber is in total throughout the regular season 7-0 on. They're looking like they've barely played it at all this year as they're getting completely out-rotated, and mostly beyond that, just a touch outgunned as Senso is now 21-14. Not able to find the 20. Second Ken will also drop between him and Senso. They have been doing the lion's share of the work. 149-70 to score. Figure's starting to find a little bit of flavor here as he takes down a double and immediately streaks across the map. He'll find himself a third. Could he potentially get a fourth and a fifth? Here's number 4. Number 5's right outside the door as well, but he won't turn in time. It doesn't make much of a difference though, because look at the progress that Humber has made on the minimap. They're already working through the back, and Figure's spawn, he'll be up by the water tower.
This is actually a really big moment too. Like you had mentioned, Figure getting that water tower spawn. That would have been such a good gunfight, but Shade takes him down with the pistol nevertheless. Spawns for Humber, still on the north side of the munitions depot as they have control of the munitions depot as a whole. Senso going absolutely massive. Report slides into Cush Point's face and takes them down. But still the gunfight on the hill is being contested ever so slightly. GoTunes almost comes over top of it, but Ken gets a snap on him just in time. Ken for 2 now on the hill. Still contested, keep in mind you, as Figure finally deals with them on the hill. One good final attempt here for Penn State White as they look to try to at least get some contested time. And this is really good contested time, keep it in mind you, because this is all time that Humber wanted to allot towards their bank just to get closer to the lead that Penn State White holds over top of them.
Yeah, 60-point gap at the moment, just about. As we look towards our rotation, only 8 seconds left. The 1v1 in the Old Hill actually has been won by Crozier, so a little bit of scrap time to Humber. Now it's an opening 1v1 for the initial time, but Ken will not be denied. He's 30-16. Nobody else in the lobby really at this point anywhere near his value, as Penn State White will have the box spawn, and with that they'll flood in pretty easily. Report, he'll find 1, he'll find 2. Not a third, but Ken will do the job, and Senso will finish the last 1v, potentially 2 up, as Tunes tries to take this challenge. But again, Penn State White meeting Humber at the front line and taking, again, almost every single gunfight we've seen come into action for either the scrap or the initial time so far.
22-17 now for Report. 25-20 for Senso. Yeah, Shades is at 17-17, but just being that main AR, you know that you're just holding those longer angles, waiting for the OE hit to come on through. They're doing their job wonderfully. Sparky's also at 18-21. Not for lack of engagement, so you take a look on the other side, top to bottom shift. Yeah, maybe just a little bit of spice of outgunning, but again, just playing as a team, just so wise. You said it so wonderfully, a call not too long ago. It looks like Penn State White has been playing this game for years. They are just playing this so smart. They have the spawns for P5 yet again as we move over to the cargo containers.
Humber will have to have a perfect P4 into P5 rotation if they want to even have a chance to meet Penn State White at the 200-point mark, and Senso will find 3 on the break attempt. He will be cut down by Tooth, but he really needed to find more than just 1 kill, and that's all he got was the trade. So now Ken and the rest of the Penn State White Nittany Lions are in control of P4, and once again, they're going to work, zoning off all of these Humber College players from finding any time at all. Senso and Report do a pretty significant job, again, just keeping the contest alive. They cannot win here, so you take a look at your minimap, all the blue arrows tactically fading back just a touch to set themselves up to win the game on P5.
Humber were able to find a significant dent as soon as we worked our way over towards P5 previously. It looks like the Penn State White are going to try to pull back their numbers, but 3 get cut down mid-map. So now their spawns come over by the B-Dom flag. This is a P5 that is really open for Humber Esports, and they roll in. Report is the only one that is able to find a kill, so this is a really big moment for Humber as they look to hold on to P5, but there's still a gunfight that's breaking off inside the point, and Report is showing up, being absolutely huge, but Crozier is still here, is able to take this down. But it being the lone player here for Humber Esports needs to keep their life, and they're doing a fantastic job. Kills are coming out from the inner parts of the warehouse building, so Humber Esports, they need to continue to flood on in. They need to put their numbers on this hill and just need to win this gunfight.
Sparky's able to find 1, but it's just down to Figure who gets snapped onto. Crozier's going to contest. 1v1 for the scrap time. The last player in will be beat down. A big moment there for Humber Esports, but again, it's 225 to 150. Penn State White is having their way with Humber. And again, at this stage of the game, there's just so much luxury of time that Penn State White can manipulate. Do you just want to win the game off this first hard point? You can. Do you want to play it a little bit safe? Just make sure you get a good rotation for P2. You can do that too. You can afford to do so much right now for Penn State White, whereas Humber, they cannot give up a single inch of map pressure throughout the next 2 hills.
You got to be careful here if you're Penn State White, that if you try to dedicate way too many of your numbers and way too many resources trying to win off of P1, that's where Humber can start inching their way towards P2. Yeah, it's 231 to 153, but Humber Esports, you know as well as I do here, Shift, they understand this game pretty darn well, and their gunnies are pretty darn strong as you see the kill feed just wiping in Humber's favor. Now they're looking to push themselves into P2 while GoTo soaks up the rest of P1.
Big moment here. Again, Humber needs to play perfectly. So far, they are. You do not want to give up these 12 seconds, and on Kush Point has to make a solo play. And he's found 2 already. He's seen the 3rd, tries to track him down. Just not enough bullets to make it work, but at least he can test the significant portion of that last 19 seconds. And now it's just down to Humber. Can you play a perfect P2 to P3? That's what they need to do. You need a 60 here, and you need to win the rotation to the 3rd hill. And so far, 4 men down to the kill feed. Make it 5, make it 6. Senso's the only player, but he's found his way into the back. Maybe that's 7 kills straight for Humber. Make it 8, make it 9. Humber, they are perfect so far through P2, and with that, they will get above the 200-point mark.
Look at their spread across the board, too. You always have a player in and around the AC unit. You have a player over top of the hollowed-out train car, and you have about 2 to 3 players on the hill. But be careful, though. Penn State White, they get some win into here. Senso comes in. Senso finds 3. Sparky's right there to combine for 4. Make that 5, and Figure's the only one that takes down reports. So now Penn State White, they have a stronghold on P2. It's going to come down to Crozier, who makes her way onto the hill, but they're going to get taken care of, and Penn State White are going to finally close things out on P2 through a 3rd rotation. 250 to 197.
What an insane first map for Penn State White. Ken and Senso both for 40-plus kills against your defending Season 1 champions on a 37 match streak. Unbelievable scenes through this. 42 and 29 for Ken, 40 and 34 for Senso. And you mentioned Shades the Don. He was just playing a much slower AR, but he still goes 23 and 28. 2+ minutes worth of hill time for Ken as well, while finding 42 kills. Absolutely incredible scenes as Penn State White start to make their way through this series. But I would say even more importantly, they find a way to take the first hardpoint win versus this Humber College team this year.
This is what's really scary now for Humber, right? You gotta somehow rally yourself back together off of this too. When you can go into this pre-match and you look at Gunrunner Hardpoint, you're like, oh, we beat them 250-184 during the regular season. This should be relatively easy. These freshmen are hungry. They're so hungry, not only for degrees, but for the championship. And to be able to take the gas out of the tank completely for Humber and walking into Ramaza's Search and Destroy, which you won during the regular season, keep in mind you for Penn State White, 6-3. Yeah, I would say the wind is a little bit out of the sails for Humber Esports, and they're going to have to really rally themselves back together and understand what it takes. But here's the little tricky part. Search and Destroy shift. It's not exactly Humber's strongest game mode, is it?
Not in playoffs, it hasn't been. They're
No.
on the map, dropping 1 to Arkansas. And that's not good. You don't like to hear that. So beyond that, though, we are ready to go to map number 2. We're about to start things up, but how about this for a couple other statistics and just scores from other matches that are currently going on? Concord is currently playing Illinois Orange over on our Bravo stream. They took map number 1, 250 to 140, but the Boilermakers of Purdue are able to give Texas A&M Maroon their first hardpoint loss, 250 to 241. So upsets potentially brewing here early as we're still in our winners bracket, but it is top 12 throughout the entirety of the day, and that number will become reduced and reduced and reduced as we dig through the next handful of hours.
Typically how brackets end up working too. And well, yeah, that's What's even scarier too, the loser of Tamu and Purdue, I believe, actually goes down to face Carleton in the losers bracket too. Which
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, they are patiently waiting for either of those two teams. I can tell you, speaking a lot with Hawk yesterday, whether it's Tamu or whether it's Purdue, they are definitely ready for it. But what we are ready for here is Ramaza Search and Destroy on offense. First will be Penn State White, and well, they're gonna just go ahead and break on through bottom red and right into the awaiting arms of GoTunes, who finds first blood. Sends us right there for the trade. Sparky and Shades though. But they're just playing this map ever so wonderfully. Sparky with the bomb is just going to be able to work themselves forward over to the bomb side of B. We find ourselves in a pretty even 2v2. 2v3, rather.
Yeah, it's the 2v3. And for Penn State White, again, you talk about how Humber has struggled on Search and Destroy. Penn State took this map against Humber in the early stages of the regular season when they met before at a total of 6-3. So, again, Penn State has got to be feeling pretty good being able to take away what was likely the hard point pick for Humber. But now you're in this 2v2, 37 seconds to play. Bomb has been dropped just outside of B. It should be pretty easy to recollect, but beyond that, Crozier and Figure are in good spots as if they maybe know that the bomb has been dropped here at B. They're not even giving up a single inch around this site. Big kill.
Not giving up a single inch, yeah, big kill. Now it comes down to Crozier. 1v2. Able to get the shots locked down, but won't be able to get them connect all fully for the elimination. Penn State White take the first round.
Good little recollection there. Again, you were up with the numbers. Bomb was dropped, but hey, find a way to use your numbers correctly. And again, this is a team of mostly freshmen, never had played together before. And now all of a sudden, you're in the playoffs versus the defending champions. And you're looking solid through your hard point like they've been playing together for years. And you find first blood on the offense of Ramaza for this Search and Destroy, which is not easy to do. But when Shades finds that double up, definitely it helps the effort. So now Humber, they're going to put 3 members over the middle of the map. Senso able to take down the first blood against Cush Point. As Figure tries to join him, he will fortunately watch the back of Tunes, who was able to find 1 trade. So now numbers are here for Humber as they use the smoke to try to hit the beat.
Gonna try to hit the beat, but Sparky was right there. Gonna be waiting arms. And with Ken is right there too. Gonna be able to stuff this at the door, and look what the bomb has been dropped. Yeah, Stevie finds himself in a 1v2, and you might think this would be a little bit more doable. Not with Shades on top cafe, but Stevie is able to find the shots. Able to lock them down. 45 seconds to play with. Dead Silence has gone back. Ken working this electronic shop is probably expecting them to be coming around here sometime soon. The bomb is dropped, keep in mind you, so really the only play here for Stevie is to be able to find an entrance to the backside onto B where they can collect the bomb and try to get the plant, but time is running out. 25 seconds. Dead Silence has dissipated. See, Ken is just patiently awaiting inside the gun shop. Well, now you really have no choice, too. The timing's about to be perfect here. Has a really good position, but Ken slides right back up to the staircase. Probably going to have to check the site sometime soon. They are pretty wise to do so. Penn State White 2-0.
Small update as far as what's going on in the Bravo stream. Currently, the Illini Orange team up 3-1 on the Search and Destroy on Arclaw Peak versus Concord. Arguably both teams' best Search and Destroy maps. But for this one, pretty convincing thus far. And again, you kind of saw what Humber wanted to do that last round. It put a lot of numbers over the middle of the map. Win out the initials or the trades, if not both. It was a little bit of both. But again, Penn State White do not fall victim to that trap. They set up nicely. Hold the site from favorable angles. Watch these players come out of the rotation from bottom cafe. And that's exactly when they were able to open up the numbers a little bit more into their favor before Stevie makes it a 1v1. How about this, though? Senso and Penn State White try to make their way over the middle of the map as the first blood will favor Crozier this time. As I think Humber have very appropriately read this, as you see a couple numbers near B have actually made their way aggressive. If they need to flank behind this push for Penn State White, they would be able to do so very, very quickly.
Sparky wants to try to inch their way here into the bomb site. Careful, though. The longer you hesitate on Ramaza Search and Destroy, maybe being a number down just means that Humber Esports could end up taking the rotation over. Silence gets popped here for the report. Be a big moment, though, with Shades going down. Crozier able to find them. The trade is there, though. Numbers advantage dwindling. Humber looking to at least play patiently. Bomb is going to get planted. You know, Stevie's probably going to go down there and check that, too. And is able to find a much-needed elimination on the Sparky. And a report now going to have to be able to work some sort of magic. And let's not forget that report, again, you can see them through the X-rays on top side of Cafe.
And I believe the information from Sparky and Shades was good as far as, hey, no one's on the bomb yet. You can play your life a little bit longer, but Ken, the timing just wasn't all that great. And now report, he's hoping he can get a wall bang. It's not going to happen. And the bomb will be defused. Plus, on top of that, Toons is able to finish up the round with the last 2 kills. So 2-1 Humber bouncing back, but a tight moment there for a second. Report had an opportunity. If he maybe waited just a touch longer to not just find 1, he could have found 2 or maybe even 3 from that cheeky spot that he was holding up top by the Cafe Plat. But not going to occur here as Humber were able to finally get around back in their swing of things. And now you're just hoping they could do the same thing here on offense, because so far Penn State White has looked, I would say, more complete thus far in these first 3 rounds, even though they did drop that most previous one.
It was just really good. Map presence and awareness of all odds for Humber Esports, not fully dedicating themselves into numbers and winning the isolated gunfights too. That'll definitely help. It's definitely what came back to bite you in the rear on that hardpoint gunrunner, that's for sure. So it's nice to see them being able to win isolated 1v1s here on Search, where obviously, yeah, you don't respond. Humber Esports, they've already worked their way over to this deep bomb site. Looks like Toons. Pop that sounds gonna work their way up here too, but the timing is not good. Stevie actually takes down Toons. Figure after finding Senso, numbers by 1, an advantage for Humber Esports. Crozier with the bomb is going to be able to get this plant as the rest of the Penn State White members rotate on over.
Report though, he's in a good spot that, maybe even get a collateral. Did not realize that Stevie was there as he was mostly focused on Crozier, but that's going to make life a little bit more difficult here. Try to go for this defuse. He should know where Stevie mostly is. The biggest question mark is, where is Cush Point? There he is. He'll go for the Ego Chal at half HP, and, well, there's no way that Cush Point loses that gunfight. So, 2-2 the score. Humber bounced back with 2 rounds in a row.
Nice patience, yet assertive gameplay when they're on offense. This is the Humber Esports that we have known to come and love, too, though. Definitely on Search and Destroy would be a sight for sore eyes for Humber, being able to at least showcase for themselves so they're able to win a Search and Destroy against a playoff team. And overall, again, being able to take this map versus Penn State White, mean that everything that happened in the regular season might have been a fluke for both sides, considering that Penn State White were able to take the gunrunner. But again, Humber looking to play this mid-map wonderfully. They lose the initial gunfight. They lose Toons, but Cush Point and Crozier are right there for a 2-player trade. Numbers advantage only by 1 here for Humber Esports, as the offense has been halted ever so slightly.
Just a touch, though. You still have a member in the middle of the map that's trying to clear some space ahead. Ken is watching the flank currently, and he's now going to make his way up towards topside of Rug, where he should meet Stevie. Stevie will find 1. Oh, goodness, tight moment there, but Ken responds to it. So now a 2v2, but this is the only defense member at A taken care of, and Penn State White are realizing that and are trying to make the committal to go to A, but is it a touch too slow? You see Humber is trying to make the rotation, and for as much as this was a favorable moment for the Nittany Lions, all of a sudden Humber in a spot to contest this bomb play today.
Gotta be careful with how you enter here. Dead silence was popped. Ooh, big kill there. Ken unable to get the gunny up in time. Crozier able to get the snap. Sparky will be allowed to get this bomb plant too, so post-plant situation here. C-Figure's gonna work their way at the top 3rd. Construction site. Sparky's gonna be on the 2nd platform. Gonna check the stairs, able to find the back. Crozier just a little bit shy, but Figure's gonna be able to get some shots. Knows that they have the HP advantage ever so slightly. Sparky's gonna wait for the regen to come through before they recontest. They're gonna come right back down the stairs. That silence was rejuvenated off that last kill. Figure definitely well understanding. They only got 12 seconds to play with, so the cat and mouse game is on. Sparky's gonna keep poking and prodding through these stairs. Figure has no idea which way he needs to check to. Is able to get the kill. Not enough time at all.
Wow. And I think maybe a little bit fortunate that Sparky lost his dead silence. You kind of heard the elephant tromping upstairs to the 2nd floor, and it kind of kept Figure from ever committing to try to defuse the bomb. So 3-2. And Penn State White, can they continue to go? We're going 2 for 2 so far. Could they find their 4th round here on this defensive hold? And for Humber, can you try to reinvent the success you just previously found in your 2nd offense here in your 3rd? So it looks like they want to try to make their play once again. Heavy commit over the middle of the map. Bomb leaning towards B initially. Stun checking B road. Nothing there. Ken's up top for a potential 1v1 with Stevie if he checks the angle. Doesn't look like he's going to. Tunes tries to cut through the smoke. Sparky responds, but will be traded. Now you're looking at Ken. He's being contested underneath as Cushpoint's trying to make the play up top. He won't find the kill, and now Ken can respond, and more importantly, Penn State White has control of Cafe. So Ken should be able to kind of read this, but unfortunately, Cushpoint slides through, and I think you saw one more player underneath in green will slam the door in his face. So bomb site has now been controlled by Humber, but it's still a 3v3, and Penn State's still threatening for the retake.
Cushpoint has really good control of this gun shop. I believe the door got slammed open by Shades. So they go back, try to see if they can get the bait out. Point. That silence pop still. Looking to make this play happen, is able to find Shades on the back end, but Senso is able to find Cushpoint. So this is a very big fumble for Humber Esports as all the fight just fell down by way of Humber Esports. Spaghetti all over the floor. Unfortunate to see, but Penn State White able to clean things up, so they're just going to wait for the dead silence to be fully recharged and dissipated so that way they can get this defuse. It's really well executed there from Penn State White, but Humber Esports, you almost would have thought that they would have had that.
Yeah, you definitely would have thought that they would have had that one in the bag, but, well, here we go. 4-2. Humber looking down and seeing a slight update here. Guess which mode Purdue just lost. Search and destroy.
And no one was surprised.
Nobody was surprised. So Texas A&M Maroon and Purdue tied up 1-1 currently in their series. And on the Bravo channel currently, Concord Maroon, Illinois in round number 10. Concord Maroon up now 5-4. They've found a way to kind of swing things back in the search. But in this one, Report, again, trying to lock things down in Cafe. Senso up close and personal. Shaking hands with Crozier. Very firm handshake that is as well as he wins the gunfight. But Cushpoint and Tunes are able to find 2 kills of their own. So now it's still numbers for Humber. But they do not have really a lockdown of where Penn State is at all. Although you can see Stevie's making the hold at A while you're seeing Cushpoint take the long flank behind. Ken wins the gunfight, and Senso, if he can win that gunfight versus Tunes, that would open up the B site completely. But it's a weird position for all the last 5 members of the map. As you can see, number 5 is Report. He's already making his way into the top side of gun shop. But will he realize that Figure was just holding the staircase? He will not. So Ken in a 1v3.
See the glowing member, Figure. The X-ray, dead silence is pop for that player. Let's have the well all. I understand that they got to at least try to clear this out. Ken definitely doesn't have enough time to get a rotation going. Got to somehow work this plant, and yep, just checking the window one last time. So it was really the only chance that Penn State White had of taking that round. Humber Esports are able to encroach the lead, 1-round deficit.
Getting tight here. And a final update for the Search and Destroy and Arklov Peak between Concord and Illinois. 6-4 goes the way of Concord, so they swing that map back pretty nicely. And they will now be up 2-0 against the University of Illinois Fighting Illini. Well, here we go into round number 8. Take a look at this again from left to right, top to bottom. All the kill-death ratios relatively even across the board. No real shining stars, no real ones that are faltering either. Although I suppose an argument can be made towards Report, who's just 2-6 so far. Stevie, first blood, Cushpoint a follow-up. This hit towards B has become much cleaner for Humber over the last couple offensive attempts. They've done the same thing every time. They're smoking on a cafe, they're sending 3 SMGs in, and this time all 3 SMGs come away with kills as the bomb will be planted relatively easily here. At B, Report nearly stops him in his track. Now it's just down to Shades, and he'll be traded after he gets the first kill. So Humber Esports tie things up 4-4.
And you want to talk about a meet and greet with a firm handshake in the bottom side, or in the opening engagement too. That was like a handshake with a vice grip. Definitely going steadily for Humber, and that's really got to how you're gonna win Search and Destroy versus Penn State White. You got to hit them hard. You got to hit them fast. You're gonna win those initial gunfights too, because you know that you do have that individual gun skill on Humber. When you just look at these players as individuals too, so these young freshmen coming through from Penn State White. They are definitely no slouches, as we saw from the Gunrunner Hardpoint just previously. And in the opening rounds, back and forth here on Ramaza Search and Destroy, you cannot let them get too comfortable, and you cannot let them find themselves map pressure. Switching things up, though, with Sparky still carrying the bomb. That silence is going to get popped. They look to work their way over towards the A bomb site pretty darn quickly. They're just waiting for the opening pick, which Senso finds.
This is a reprise of the second offensive hit for Penn State White, but this time Crozier doesn't find first blood, and look what it does to the bomb site as a whole. Humber completely caught now as they try to go for a late flank, but Ken's watching this. So is Report up top, and I just do not see a world where Humber wins this gunfight coming through, or wins this retake as a whole, I should really say. There's Cush Point falling. Ken, is he down low, actually? Nope, there he is up top. He finds Figure. Now it's Tunes by himself. His position will be made known. And in this 1v5, there's no chance whatsoever. And this is, again, for every single offense we've seen so far, Humber has done almost the exact same thing. They're smoking out a cafe. They're hitting towards B together. The most recent time we saw them do it, they just win their opening gunfights with SMGs. We saw Penn State White do this exact same strategy in their second offensive hit. It was Crozier who stopped it in its tracks. This time he gets taken down, maybe a better smoke placement as well for Penn State White, and they turned it into a successful round here as well. So again, a little bit of learning and adaptation coming through for both of these teams as they start to execute a little bit cleanly. And now 5-4 map point for Penn State White.
What a monumental thing it would be for Humber Esports to be down by 2 maps in this playoff match. Crozier finding first blood on the Ken. Pretty good sight here for Humber as they look to push through mid-map. Cush Point with the bomb looks to suppress their fire through the cafe. They're going to get tagged up to the door. That's going to be Sparky that's able to find Cush Point, but Figure is right here along with Crozier, who's going to be able to at least clear out the bomb site ever so slightly. The rotation has to come through for Penn State White, but they're losing their lives.
This is an interesting dictation for Penn State White. They stacked most of the resources in the middle of the map. There was no AR watching from the top side of gunshot this time around. As you see, Shades is now trying to play from the jump wall by Vines. And that's, again, you know, Humber's going to be finding much more success on that offensive hit when there's no AR up top of gunshot watching anybody come through. You saw that pinch that came through for Cush Point, and I believe it was maybe Figure who did that from the backside of Dark Arches. And when there's nobody watching over the top, that player on the side is essentially caught completely on an island. And so now round 11, it's going to be Penn State White on the offense, Humber on the defense. And I'm just wondering, if you're Penn State White, you just found a lot of success hitting over towards A with that set strat you saw earlier. Will they try it maybe again? Looks that way.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks to be just that too. Going to be throwing their lethals, their tacticals right over top of the mid-map. Sparky is actually breaking through the smoke. Just trying to see if there's any Humber Esports members waiting for them on the other side. Take a look at Stevie. They're just going to poke themselves over. We've actually taken some shots too, but there are 2 players defensively now over here for Humber as they look to try to read this. The rotation a little bit faster now for Humber Esports as they look to stuff this. Penn State White, look at where the bomb's going. Sparky's going back through the cafe as they look for the ye old bait and switch. Has Humber Esports read this though? Senso's still over here. They're going to be making some noise at this bomb site. Report goes down. And Senso, if they can find this kill, it'd be monumental, but they can't find it.
This is so tough because Senso just trusted to play his life here and keep the defense at A. And that they've done just that. Shades and Sparky, they're able to find a couple of picks. We're down to 28 seconds, but the bomb's going to be planted for free. And it's a 3-on-2 situation in favor of the Nittany Lions. Humber forced to rotate, and you mentioned it. Would Humber read this correctly? They played passively over to the A retake. And now all of a sudden that means that they have no presence at B. Senso up top.
Oh, man.
Penn State White take round 11, 6-5.
What an insane showing from Penn State White from the 250-197 win on Gunrunner Hardpoint. It went to round 11. It got tight. But when the final hour struck and GoTunes drops 13 kills, Penn State White rally, and they are able to close out the map going up 2-0 ahead of the domination Hackney Yard, which, by the way, was really close during the regular season. It was 190 to 182. So, oh, man, if the subs have been showing up like we've been seeing, especially through Ken dropping 40 kills on the Gunrunner Hardpoint, your backs have got to be sweaty now, Humber Esports, because you have to go into Hackney Yard domination to where you have to be careful. You got to be on your toes because you don't want to be finding yourself in isolated 1v1s, 1v2s. Penn State White as a whole, they are striking me very impressive as they are, going all the way back to their first match on stream versus Full Sail. They were blitzkrieg, and I was like, okay, well, you know, it was against Full Sail. Sure, might have been a little bit of an easier match for them. They're absolutely amazing. But against Humber? The defending champions? Huh?
37 matches straight. Yes, they have not looked nearly as complete in Search and Destroy as they have in their respawns. But for them to drop what, again, was imagining their preferred pick for the Gunrunner hardpoint, now we go to Hackney Yard Dom, where Humber, they are 3-0. They have not played it yet in playoffs. Neither have Penn State White, who are just 2-2 overall on the map. But the more important statistic, like you mentioned, was that it was an 8-point game the first time they played. That was in 6-minute halves with faster flag swaps. It wasn't one of those, it didn't go to neutral back then. It was just you had it or you didn't have it. There was no neutral state. So that is a very tight margin in that style of game. Of course, domination has changed dramatically since then. You take a minute off each half. And of course, now the flags go to neutral, but still an 8-point differential back then. That's about as close as it gets. That's the equivalent of having a 2-point differential, I would say, if not a 1-point differential in this current format. So do we see it happen proper? Is it going to be a 3-0 for Penn State White in upset fashion?
Look, I'll be honest with you. When you're going into this playoff Penn State White roster, domination, they look pretty damn good. Shades is at 1.90 KD through playoffs alone. How about this? Senso is at 2.0 KD. So they are going to be starting off on the A flag side of the map. We're going to have to see how big of a lead that they can grow, and if they are able to hold on to this A flag through the entire half with this opening trade and being able to sit on this B flag in early AB hold here shift, they look to do just that.
And I love this committal for Senso. The entire time, he was just watching over the middle. He wanted to make sure nobody was pinching. He knew he didn't have any other Nittany Lions in the middle of the map. And so he says, I will capture this flag and do just that. 3 straight for Senso. He's got a 4th one up top with Figure. Wins at the trade immediately there for Sparky with the double hit. Stevie's the only player really here at the B warehouse. Now that Crozier gets in, maybe there's a chance to put some influence on this B flag. But again, everybody in blue still surrounding the middle of the map, not giving an inch of room for Humber Esports to get set up.
It's actually a really big kill there for GoTunes. They look to cut mid-map, but Sparky off respawn is able to get that trade. And, yep, that's why you like the A flag here on Hackney Yard Domination, because you can just flood your numbers right back into the B flag and stuff any attempt that Humber had ever wanted to have to get this B flag within their name. Though they're winning the initial gunfight yet again, trying to win the fight over top L. It's a 2-way hit. Fantastically done. Putting themselves on the B flag for a time being. Is GoTunes going to turn around? You're going to be like, what were the rest of my friends? It's just Cushpoint that's left a lot on P1, and they're already taken care of.
5-1 for Shades, 5-2 for Sparky, 5-3 for Senso. So many kills for the Nittany Lions, who again are just putting a stranglehold over the middle of the map. Crozier can't lock down Penn, who's not done yet, by the way, as he had another one in front of him, but now it's up top. Good shots from Cushpoint as Humber College will have their best attempt here to try to influence this B flag. Will they read the player up top on the AC, though? It's Report. He's already found 1 kill. Shades trying to assist from the backside of the scaffolding, and he will find 2. Yes, the flag will be neutral, but Penn State have the numbers, especially if Shades wins this last 1v1, which he will give up. But still, the fact that Humber has not even flipped this B flag yet is good news for Penn State White.
They finally got numbers. They have at least 2 on the B flag, and you have 1. That's Figure on top L, just trying to suppress Shades, but Shades slides in through the front door, is able to at least find 1. Another 3 kills go in favor for Humber. So this is going to be the moment of time. Yeah, they capture the B flag, but you have to be able to turn this into map pressure soon after. You cannot just be okay with just this B flag, because Penn State White can just come in and win the gunfight through the smoke, which you see Reporting 10 are able to do. And now you got to flood your numbers in off your spawn for Humber Esports, which is by the C flag. It is incrementally so much further away. You would think for Humber Esports to work their way back into this fight, but with Penn State White spawning over by the office building, they're not looking any better.
Yeah, but again, you got to give massive credit to Shades there. The discipline to play from scaffold, the only player alive. He's not taking over aggressive challenges. He knows when he's the last player up and when he can afford to move forward versus when he has to watch the flank. Not able to win the 1v1 versus Figure, but Shensto is there to clean him up, and Ken will flip the B flag right around. Minute 40 to play here in the first half, and it's a 10-point lead for the Nittany Lions.
They're able to hold on to the A flag, you would think, all the way through. They got 1:35, and you can almost assume that Humber Esports are just going to be okay with trying to get a B flag yet again on this first half, and they got to be looking towards a pretty strong second half. They're able to get this lead down to just about with 13 points, and that's real good considering the start that was set in blitzkrieg fashion for Penn State White. And Penn State White, off of their respawns, are looking to cut past mid-map, and they're looking to find kills into the backside of Humber. It's going to be player number 3 and Ken finding a big kill mid-map on to Figure. It's a full-on wipe. That's going to be back at the AB flag hold, and, well, you got to be careful of Ken on top of the smokestack. And although Stevie's able to take them, that slows down the push that Humber Esports want to be flooding into this warehouse.
Yeah, not bad at all. Again, I like that attempt from Ken. He's sitting here saying 60 seconds left. Let me try to go for a neutral play. If I get a couple of kills, I'll commit to it, but does not. And now all of a sudden, Humber have a 4-man kill feed in their favor. Senso's the only one really close to trying to contest this B point. And all of a sudden, if the last 30 seconds of this match, or this half rather, I should say, go with a CB hold for Humber, this would actually be a pretty salvaged first half. They never get neutral at C. Yeah, they never actually flip the flag around at A, but to go into the second half at a 15-point differential, likely will be about a 10-point differential. You take those, as Report will slide his way in, and he will go for a neutral at C. And will he go for a full cap? He sure will, as a split spawn comes into play for Penn State White. They will hold and probably finish the rest of this map off with an AC hold. So it'll be, yeah, right around a 15-point gap, which Humber you're not ecstatic about, but you're also not upset about at all.
No, not even a little bit, too. Considering that there was one point where this lead was about to be getting past about 20 to almost 25 points at certain points, that Humber Esports are able to work their way onto that B flag. I believe it flipped back in their name a solid 3 times, if that. So, I mean, again, very salvageable, like you said. 89-72 is going to be the half, and still, it's still good, because again, you look at Humber, they're starting on the A flag. So now it comes down to Penn State White. How quickly can you break past mid-map and get this A flag back in your name? You don't want Humber Esports to get comfortable holding on to 2 flags for too long.
No, you really don't. So far, not a lot of pressure here at B yet. Smoke will embellish almost all of the warehouse. Stenso finds one. Crozier somehow responds to Report, and he also snaps onto Stenso. A third might be in the works, but not going to be the case, as at least his teammates are there to trade things out. But for Penn State White, you've actually kept Humber from capturing this B flag still, which is, again, a little bit of a successful moment, because how about this? You spawn office, and Stenso is going to make a play through the OE. Nobody's watching it for Humber, and with that, he will work his way over. He finds 1 kill. He's got Cush Point nearby, plus Crozier down low. But all you have to do right now for Senso's play your life, and that's exactly what he does, because take a look back at your minimap once again. What does that turn into? For Nittany Lions in the warehouse with the numbers, as they look to get a neutral, potentially a flip.
They are working that flip. Cush Point's at least able to find Ken, just a mere consolation prize. Crozier trying to keep their life on B. It won't last for long. CV on top, L is going to get heavily suppressed. They're able to piece together 3. And at least the B flag went back into the name of Penn State White, too. But again, if you're keeping an eye on your mini-map like I have, you saw that Penn State White also were able to inch their way back over to the A flag and put it back in their name. There's a player over here, keep in mind you, I believe that is Cush Point. And they're going to be trying to at least be a pest in the backside and pulling back the numbers to allow Humber Esports to get onto the B flag and try to flip the spawns themselves.
State White. The AD holds now. 3 minutes and 20 seconds to play. A 10-point lead. Tunes will neutralize B. He's going to try to stick it for the full capture as well. It looks like he'll be allowed to do that as Cush Point is streaking to the middle of the map. He's found himself 2 kills. Opening up a little bit of opportunity for Humber to get established now for once in this B warehouse. Shades is 23-10 as the main AR. Insane value. I believe Report has re-picked up maybe the second AR, maybe not actually. He was running it for a while. Stevie, a little bit of wallbang action there. He's able to get rewarded a kill. But again, for Humber, you're in a CB hold situation. It's good for now, but are you going to trust that you can hold it for the next minute to get yourself right back in this game? I would have a hard time believing that they would like sitting in that situation. And as they do that, and as I say that, they start streaking towards A. And honestly, this is a mistake for Penn State White. They spawn up by the office. Most of them start making their way over to C, and it just opens up too much of a door for Humber to get the spawn flip.
And this is really good now for Humber. If you're a fan of Humber Esports, this is the go time. That way you're going to be able to exist on this AB hold. You just can't allow Ken to be able to find too much value, and Crozier's going to be right there in P1 to shut that down. Now you got to control the OE. You can't allow Penn State White to work their way over towards the A flag. You can't allow them to find value in flooding in towards the B flag. Humber Esports can come back from this. There's still 1 minute and 58 to play, and there's only a 6-point deficit between them and Penn State White.
And again for Penn State, now that they're starting to win out this warehouse, you got to get set up. Don't get a little bit too aggressive here. Take this B flag back. Do what you can to just play your numbers and try to force the spawns for Humber out towards the office, which is exactly what occurs. But the B flag for right now is only staying neutral. Sparky tries to change it, but catches a nade in his back pocket. Shades once again trying to play his life for as long as he can, but we've got a 4-point game, 90 seconds worth of action left to go. And Report is just sitting here waiting for one to touch, and he doesn't quite figure out Stevie, who will get the flip back into Humber's favor at B as they find a 5-man feed.
5-man feed. You got the wipe, and now you're going to be able to be that pest in the side. You can see Figure's thinking about it. And working their way over to the C flag because all the other numbers, if this is counted out properly, Penn State White are starting to flood themselves to the office building. And now you got Figure over by the C flag, and they're winning the gunfight as well over by the forklift outside the office. And player number 5, Report, tried to go back to deal with Figure on the C flag. They're unable to do so. That's going to be a full-on domination here just for a little while, and you almost have to think that Sparky had to win that gunfight, which they do. And now they're going to be able to at least put themselves back onto the C flag, but the lead is back in the favor of Humber.
Whoa, 4-man feed here, making 5. They look like they're about to be put into the dirt, and all of a sudden, they're making progress at B. They've got numbers. They're going to flip this flag. He's got an 8-point game. 2 flags will not be enough. You've got to go for a full flip at A. If you're Penn State White, and have you read the map? Will it make a difference? The 50-50 trades will be fine for Humber. As you can see now, they are just turtling around their A flag, saying, we can just hold this and win. It's going to be darn close to the wire. It's all going to come down to Report. He's going to hard stick towards the A flag, and Humber will clean it up just in the nick of time. As time will expire, Humber will find their first map, 158 to 155.
158 to 155. Shift, what is it with these teams in close domination? Even in the domination of previous paths of Modern Warfare, it was close. This one was also close, and man, you almost thought that Penn State White heading into that second half, the second that they were able to flip the A spawns in their name, that they were going to be able to walk away with the 2 Shades drops, 30 kills as the standing AR, 30 and 19, keep in mind you, but it was just the know-all, and just being able to read the kills from the pressure that Humber were able to put on the front end for Penn State White. They were able to battle back and able to win out a much-needed map as they send themselves to a map number 4 of Hardpoint St. Petrograd. The reverse sweep is starting here for Humber Esports. Penn State White got to look to close it out here.
Update across all of our other games as well. Concord Maroons secure the 3-0 versus the University of Illinois and their orange squad, but it was a tight one, 142-153 on St. Petro Dom. So that would be our tidiest game so far that we have going on, as Purdue and Texas A&M Maroon, last we heard, we're stuck in a 1-1 map count. And, well, we're just kind of waiting to see what happens with the rest of that one. A bit of a surprise, I would say, that they even lost the hard point to begin with. It was a Zir Cave, I believe is what I heard there. A tight one, 250-241 to Purdue. It was no surprise that Purdue dropped the Search and Destroy, as they have pretty much throughout most of the regular season. Definitely their weakest game mode. But domination, they have been looking pretty solid in. So as we continue on with this set specifically, though, St. Petra will be up next. And for both of these teams, what exactly does that mean? Humber is 3-0, most recently finding a 250-153 versus Lebanon Valley in these playoffs. For Penn State White, though, they are 5-0 as they smoked Full Sail here. And I mean smoked Full Sail here. And they absolutely beat up UT Knoxville, 250-100 against Full Sail, 250-123 versus UT Knoxville. So again, I think you're happy about this. This has to be Penn State White's pick. I'm just going to go ahead and say it, even if it's not true. This is Penn State White's pick, and they very well could find themselves a favorable map mode combo here to close out Humber Esports for their first loss in 38 games. Insane.
It's just hard for me even be able to piece that thought together. I mean, again, you go back to the Hardpoint Gunrunner where we started off this entire series, Alan. Ken dropped 42, was so quick to get to the 30 kills. Senso was also right there dropping another 40 bomb. You got to be able to match this pressure for Humber. Whether or not they got iced while we were doing our pre-show, I'm not really going to be able to chalk that up to be just that. I just honestly think that it's Penn State White coming out of the gates and getting absolutely and putting boots to ground and just going to work. This squad absolutely impressed me. And like you said, the previous time that we saw them on St. Petra Hardpoint, yeah, smoked. It wasn't even close. What was it? It was a 250-100. Yeah, 250-100 on St. Petra Hardpoint. Wasn't even close. Again, it was Full Sail, a little bit of a weaker team comparatively to Humber, who again have not lost a single match in, what did you say, 38 games. So yeah, you're going up against a much stronger team per se, but you're going up against Penn State White. The freshmen are so hungry. I'm gonna keep saying this until they are out of the bracket entirely, because they keep showing up every single time that I take a look at their match records, every single time that I take a look at their KD stats across the board. This team of Penn State White, you can't bat an eyelash at them, because when it comes down to their understanding of what each kill means on hardpoint and being able to flip map pressure out, yeah, they got that understanding pretty damn well.
It will be Humber spawning from the preferred side here, and as we're waiting for this first break attempt, Texas A&M Maroon were able to take a 3-1 versus Purdue. 171-146 was the dom, 250-115 was the second hard point. So maybe a early set woe there for Texas A&M Maroon, but pretty convincing from 2, 3, and 4 in the map set. But as we get back into this one, Penn State White will break into this first hard point, and more importantly, Ken is already making his way forward towards the billiards room as he's found himself 2 kills already. Looking for a third, will be taken apart, but now Shades is in a position to where he can watch the cross, and he'll at least stop any reinforcements from Humber to get into this P1 hard point, at least for about 15 seconds or so. And now it's just 15 seconds left of the scrap time, of which Penn State White look to secure.
You got to be looking towards those P2 spawns, which, yeah, Humber Esports were able to secure, even though starting on that side of the map, Penn State White are going to give up those final few seconds to start flooding in towards the billiards hall, which they're not going to win the kill feed, or the kills, not necessarily at all. So Sparky and Report are going to wait for a little bit more numbers, so that way they can try to set up self on a pinch. Pushpoint's pretty aware of this too, as they look to set up a crossfire, but now being able to get the spawns in that alleyway, Penn State White are going to look for a full flood into the south side of P2.
This is a really good hold here for Humber, as they actually put Penn State White in a little bit of a spawn trap here, mostly off of what Figure's been able to do. He's on 5 straight, only has 3 bullets left, and he's going to try to streak across, find another weapon. He does, but as soon as he makes the move, he gets cut down. But it looks like, again, you see the rotation already in play for Penn State White. They'll send a couple of players back, and at least for Report, he takes care of tunes on the hard point itself, but doesn't make a commitment to try to play for any of the scrap time. So a little bit of time going to the game clock, but on the rotation here, Penn State White vastly in control as they take out a couple of kills mid-map and are set up appropriately so for P3.
Able to get this early rotation and the initial time too, with a Report on the backside of the water walk, is able to go to work, finds 3, and now being able to meet a multitude of members. Yeah, how about 6 straight for Report? They're 8 and 5. Give me 7. Oh, they're going to go down by way of Figure Semtex, but what a lot of work was able to be showcased by them. Going to come down to Crozier. You can see looking up for a pinch with Stevie on both sides of the hazmat building. Humber Esports, they're just starting to find kills. They're going to find themselves with numbers. Penn State White are spawning behind the flower shop. That's going to be good for them to start flooding in numbers too. But you got to be careful. Much like how on P2 you saw that little itty bitty moment of time to where they got spawn trapped in the alleyway to where Crozier is currently sitting at too. The same thing could happen here for Penn State White. They got to be careful.
Only one player left at this pitch point, doing what he can to contest the final 15 seconds. He does a pretty good job doing that, only giving away 8. So now for Humber, they're the ones with the 1 rotation currently for P4, but you can already see Penn State White funneling through River. A couple of kills turn up in their favor. Now they have possession of the blue square. Trying to lock things down at range is Figure. He will find one, essentially holding down to the front door while the rest of his teammates will spawn closer towards this cafe patio area. Shades will find a second pick, tries to cut his way into the blue square, but will be taken down by Stevie, who has been very ably holding his life for as long as he possibly can. Uh-oh, Crozier doesn't finish the last bullet rather, to get the kill onto Ken, who now survives, and with that, Penn State have made their way into the hill for at least some contest time.
Big kill there for Ken over the bar, although re-entering themselves into the feed is Humber Esports. They are putting themselves on the map and able to control it ever so wonderfully. We're going to be moving over towards this restaurant side where you see Crozier currently playing in. They're going to be met with Report, who wins the gunfight. And although being traded out too, you could take a look at all the Penn State White arrows. They are setting themselves in this restaurant to where they can get themselves a healthy amount of time. But Humber Esports, though, on the outside, they're looking to set themselves up on a pinch and winning the gunfight quite convincingly, I would say. Humber Esports working their way for an early break yet again here on St. Petra Hardpoint.
Push on 6 straight, 20 and 11. really keeping his team not just in the game, but in this mild lead. As he's going to find maybe the 7th kill here. Not going to happen. Senso's able to find 2 before he falls. Penn State White on their first good attempt to try to break this hill, but it gets shut down this time by Crozier, who's now on 3 straight. Tunes over the middle of the map, not able to win another one, and you can already see Penn State White are essentially considering giving the rest of this hill up, as you have members that are trying to flip the spawns for what will eventually be P2, plus you've got a member sitting aggressively in shades just in front of the first hard point, and that's going to 100% be the case. It's going to be right around 163 to 75 if Humber take every single second of this last hill. But beyond that, Penn State White are sitting here saying, that's fine. Let's just do what we can to try to get a full 60 here on P1 and keep the P2 spawns and get back into this game.
Port's going to be able to at least secure the spawns over by the billiards hall. Stevie has a really good position in top blue, where they're able to be meeting all of these players from Penn State White with relative ease. Shades on the tops of billiards is going to be dealt with. Time going on up for Humber Esports, damn near double the amount of time, if actually that Penn State White currently hold. 173 to 81 is the current scoreline. Penn State White are looking to work their way out of this alleyway, but they are unable to do so. This is getting closer to the same thing that we saw when Humber Esports were in control of P2. They have to win a few gunfights, and they're able to at least find 3. So that's real good for Penn State White, at least so they can find themselves walking out of their spawn, per se. But they're going to have to be looking towards P2. They have to play this flawlessly, which is quite literally how we looked on the other side when we were back on our previous hardpoint of Gunrunner.
And again, Penn State White keep giving up things that they're no longer going to be able to afford to give up. They give up about 20 seconds worth of time on that first hard point, just trying to lock things down here at P2. You have to be perfect right now, not only here, but also on the rotation to P3. That's the only way you can get back into this game. This next 3 hills are going to have to be nearly flawless for Penn State White. So far, they're bending but not fully breaking. One more hit coming out of Humber from both the hotel and the backside of billiards. That'll be mostly dealt with, but you need to take care of Tunes. You do. Now you got to turn your guns up all the way over towards blue square. Senso nearly almost doesn't finish the kill in front of him. The pistol will come out for Stevie, and that will be a break for Humber Esports, who cannot win it here, but take a look at your mini-map. You already got Crozier and Cush Point on the rotation to secure things up at the hazmat building.
This is what's really scary now. This is what makes St. Petrograd Hardpoint just a beast within its own self, too. Look how far you have to go for the rotation when you're already down by just sub 100 points. Penn State White have to cut mid-map. And that mid-map is being, well, covered up by Humber Esports members. Tunes, Stevie, able to find 2. Stevie's going to get dealt with by Sparky as they hop right out of the restaurant building, but Cush Point's right there for the trade. 220 and counting on up. Humber Esports can absolutely win it out here. Penn State White, they got to be able to flood their numbers, and they got to win the gunfight in the hazmat building.
Oh boy, things not looking good here for Penn State White. They're being bullied in the middle of the map. They've got one more good hit. It's the 3 members in the bottom part of your mini map coming from the tram stations. And none of it is turning up in favor of Penn State White. A pretty clean feed. 6 straight for Cush Point as he makes it 7:35 and 16. Are you kidding me? Senso in the hill, trying to have some heroics late game, but it might just be enough for a little bit of contest. But you take a look at a glance back down to your mini map. Humber already zoning out P4 where they just need 5 seconds. You need to find a 4-man or 5-man feed right now if you're Penn State White. Senso will take down 1. Tunes and Figure will clean up most of it. It's just down to Report to open things up in the hill. Has to find the 3rd kill. Won't be able to do it. Stevie zones it out. Humber Esports bounce back with 2 maps in a row. 250, 134.
Reverse sweep. Starting to look pretty damn doable here, Shift. Humber Esports, the veteran roster, able to piece it together when the moments were starting to look dire too. But again, this is the Humber Esports squad that we have known to come and love. They are blitzkrieg. They are fast. Their map knowledge is strong too. But as we head things over, they're going to have to win it out in their weakest game mode through playoffs on S&D Gunrunner. So they might be able to feel a little bit more comfortable ahead of that, Alan, because of the pace that they can set. Gunrunner is one of those very special search and destroy maps to where you can work a plant pretty damn quickly and where you can win gunfights off the rip before you even get down to a minute left in the bank.
35 kills for Cush Point on Petro is a pretty impressive total, to say the least. But like you mentioned, this, I should imagine, is Humber's pick. They're 5-2 on this map, but here is the negative side. Like you mentioned, not only have they not won a search and destroy yet, but this was the map they dropped to Arkansas 2-6. So for Penn State White, calm yourself down. Play out, just, let it all just kind of wash over you. You're in game 5 versus Humber. Let it just exist as a single search and destroy. You looked good in your first attempt on Ramaza. Gunrunner's not at all a bad map for you. You're 1-0 overall. You beat Carleton on this map, though, which is why you shouldn't feel so bad about this map being the map number 5. And hopefully you could just, again, repeat some of those performances you had in Ramaza. Like you mentioned, a lot of fast-paced SMG play over the middle of the map, which we expect. And for Humber, that should be good news. But for Penn State White, they've shown that they can handle that pressure from the SMG line of this Humber College team.
Yeah. Again, you go back to the Ramaza opening. It was actually Humber that pulled themselves back faster to where you would think that it would have been Penn State White. That initial fight over the bottom side of red, I would have thought that it would have been Penn State White that would lose it initially, but it was them that won it. So if you're able to find a lot of good instances in that opening gunfight on Gunrunner Search and Destroy, yeah, you could be looking at a little bit of the same showcasing on Gunrunner comparatively to what we saw on Ramaza. So this could be where a lot of those extra tricks up your sleeves for Penn State White might come through. We saw a lot of good baits through smokes and a lot of good lethals to come through to where they work the A-bomb site onto Ramaza, or we see some of those same things to where they can work the clock there on Gunrunner Search and Destroy. Only time would tell. I would definitely love to see it, that you can definitely try to play the time game against the numbers and the knowledge that Humber currently sits at for this map.
Indeed the case. Again, this is our final match here in our 4 o'clock slot. Coming up at 5:30, though, we'll actually be jumping down to the losers bracket for the Bravo stream, where Illinois will be playing up against Full Sail. Purdue and Carleton will be squaring off, and the loser of this game will play UT Dallas. But here on the main stream, we'll be dealing with the barn burner. We've got Concord Maroon playing up against Texas A&M Maroon. Maybe we could compare and contrast what shade of maroon each of these teams are preferring for their primary colors, and maybe that'll be the battle of the maroon here. But regardless, a lot of favor for both of those squads throughout the regular season. That'll be our next matchup as soon as this one concludes, and you're not going to want to miss that one. You're definitely going to want to make sure you're sticking around. But like I mentioned in the Bravo stream, Illinois and Full Sail will be playing up against one another, and that should be starting here relatively soon. But as we get into it again, Gunrunner Search and Destroy for map number 5. We're dealing with still our top 12 squads, but that number will be reduced here very, very shortly as we continue to not only find out who's going to find their favor through the winners bracket, but who can make it to the top 8. And then beyond that, we'll finish off our evening looking at who exactly will be going into Championship Saturday with just 4 teams remaining. It's going to get good. It's going to get really, really good. All of the teams that are left are incredible squads. A little unfortunate, LA Tech had a last-minute situation pop up. They weren't able to fully play through their day-to-day. So Alabama is making their way through into top 8. A little unfortunate for LA Tech as they had to deal with a roster substitution late season, but also here again, not able to see their full playoff run come to a conclusion. But while we're waiting for game number 5, we'll step away for a small break. And until then, don't go too far. Follow the channel. Go check out twitch.tv/Call of Duty COD or College COD, pardon me. College COD Bravo is the URL. That's what I'm trying to say. Words are becoming difficult. We'll see you in the back end of this break for map 5. Welcome back, everybody. We're jumping straight in. Like you mentioned, it's Gunrunner Search and Destroy. Humber Esports setting up the potential reverse sweep. It would be necessary, obviously, if they want to continue through their winners bracket. And to do so, they'll be starting on offense. And their first hit will actually be over towards A. Pardon me, Penn State will be hitting over towards A. Getting my colors a little bit backwards here. And with that, the bomb will be planted. And how about the post-plant setup? You've already got 2 members pretty far forward towards AC and 2 more watching the flank. This is looking really clean for Penn State.
Yeah, you can tell it's Penn State White squad definitely knowing what they're looking for. Humber Esports will be working through the train cars. Gonna put 1 player onto the bomb site. GoTune's going to be able to get traded out here. Crocher's going to re-enter themselves right over and gets absolutely the snap of their lifetime onto Ken, who was about to have the timing of the century. Senso's the lone player alive. They're going to come and slide through, try to check the bomb, but they didn't have dead silence, so they heard all the footsteps coming on through. Definitely had enough time there as Figure looks to defuse the bomb.
What a play from Figure. Just to keep his life there for a little bit longer. For Humber Esports, a hell of a retake. And again, you mentioned it. He's able to hear the footsteps, jumps off the bomb just in the nick of time. That was really the only element that you could have played around with if you're Penn State White. But a good opening hit, I will say that much. Again, that take of A was pretty darn brilliant. Not quite able to hold it. So now they'll transition to their first defense. And for Humber, what's in the cards here? We mentioned that they're probably going to want to be pretty aggressive to the middle of the map with their SMGs. And so far, it's actually more of a passive setup as you're seeing a couple of members head towards the backside of the woods. And for Humber Esports, they're trying to hold on to the middle of green, but Report has pulled out the sniper rifle and will find first blood onto Stevie.
Figure's going to be right there for the trade. Be trading nades. Semtex for fragmentation grenades, but Crozier's able to take down Senso. So even say that, speaking to existence about numbers, and well, Report's going to go down. So no more score pressure here. Sparky and Shades just trying to keep their life. Cush Point is going to suppress Sparky right back into the little halls of the boiler room as Figure is able to find the final wall bang onto Sparky. Now it just comes down to Shades. The main AR is going to get tagged up. They will stop the bomb plant, so a little bit more doable per se. It's essentially a 1v3 here for Shades. They have a trophy system to play with, so not exactly the clutch situation that you would hope for. Almost able to get that kill, and Humber Esports are going to go up 2-0.
Pretty competitive, though. Again, Penn State White do a pretty nice job of dealing with the pressure in the middle of the map. Report with that opening first blood will definitely throw a bit of a monkey wrench potentially into Humber and their offensive hits that continues to come out to play with that big thunder stick, boomstick, sniper rifle, whatever synonym you prefer to use. But now for Penn State White, what do we do? We saw their attempt towards A. Will we see their first offer to go over to B? Oh, no. It's actually going to be, once again, smoke here at A. A little bit more passively set up, maybe trying to bait out Humber, but look at this. Defensively, Humber, aggressive through the middle of the map, have already taken away the green building, and that's going to provide some headaches here for Penn State White if they decide they eventually want to go back over to B.
As they have no choice. We saw a Report. Was able to take a few pot shots onto Stevie from afar. Senso is able to find first blood on a Crozier. So this is a really good situation to get this fast plant onto A. Now, how are you going to end up dealing with this? It's almost kind of a similar setup for Penn State White of previous offense, but Report able to be right there, able to take down another member of Humber Esports that's figured down. So numbers advantage here for Penn State White as they have really good control of the north side of the munitions depot. It's going to come down to Stevie to find a really good pick, but Senso's going to be right there to take down Tunes. And, well, Cush Point, essentially about to be a 1v many members of Penn State White, won't be able to be asked to come towards that task, and going to be a much-needed round win there for Penn State White.
I'll tell you, though, again, we're seeing some really good adaptations here for Penn State White. Again, it was the same offensive hit, but this time they actually keep the members watching the flank more passive and the players that are watching the front a little bit more aggressive. And after you find first blood, you're able to take away a little bit of extra map presence, and that's just a really good read from Penn State White. Granted, Humber did give him a little bit of an easier time as, again, 3 members just hit through the middle of the map, and now Cush Point on his offensive hit will find first blood as he's carrying the bomb through the boiler room. He also finds the Semtex, maybe looking for a third kill. Will be shrugged out, and Report will find 2 of his own. So 3-on-3 action will ensue. For a small time, and Sud Tunes will now make it a 3-on-2 favoring Humber College.
Take a look where the bombs dropped too here, Alan. Right smack dab in the center, right outside the boiler room. Got a 1-player advantage, and I don't actually think that Penn State White was made aware that the bomb was dropped there either. But giving up the space might be wise. Got Report looking over the coal mines just in case a hit comes through. So I'm just going to go ahead and guarantee that, yeah, they don't think that the bomb has been dropped at all. That means that Figure doing figure eights, looking for any member around them inside this boiler room. Is going to check inside the vents. It's going to allow GoTunes to pick up the bomb so that way they can work this plant on over towards the B bomb site. But in a 2v3 post-plant situation, this could get really rough. Shades with that silence is able to get the jump over to the cargo container. Is the timing going to be here to at least find one on the Stevie? The shots are there, but the kill's not soon to follow. Report on the backside is able to find Tunes, though. So in a 2v2, Report is dropped down low, and Stevie's going to be able to claim their life. Shades now for a 1v2.
Again, if Shades finds that first pick, then you've got a 2v1 going the opposite direction, but Figure would be in a position where he would not be able to really clutch up at all. So now Shades has to find the kills. Trying to guess. Whoa, my snap. Okay. Peels the head off of Figure. He's got to stick this, though. Not enough time. You have to defuse it right now. Not going to get there. Stevie will just push on through and take the kill. But, man, if Shades just finds one more bullet into Stevie through Green Alley on the exit, that's a round that Penn State White surely comes away with.
The timing was there too, but just unable to get the player locked in the red dot in time. Very tough scenes. But silence was also used there too to make sure that there was a player that was on top of the bomb site, wasn't going to hear them. Obviously, there wasn't one there for Humber, but again, you talk about their win-loss record on Search and Destroy Gunrunner. Definitely one of their strongest ones. They're well on their way to winning out their first playoff match on Search and Destroy, but Report is right there, top green. A little bait and switch from previous offensive rounds as Penn State White finally looked to commit towards the B-bomb site. In Humber Esports, they thought, oh boy, did they think that it was going to be another A site, and that gives Report the open season to find 3.
The big monkey wrench here, though, is Cush Point in green. It's going to come down to the timing of these peaks. Shades is in the backside trying to watch him, will find the kill. Crozier, 1v4 situation, won't even win the first as Shades takes him down up close. And yeah, okay, you saw the 3-1 total early on here through 4 rounds in favor of Humber, but every single one of these rounds have been winnable from Penn State White, too. So we're going to be going back and forth in this one as we get a 3-2 total at the moment, and going into round number 6, Humber will be forced to, again, try to find a way to keep this offense moving. And for Penn State White, will we see Report potentially take that sniper rifle back out again, just to kind of, again, keep Humber guessing? That's my big question, if we can see where number 5 is going to go. He's actually playing over towards the A side and through it, so I imagine no sniper rifle here. No, it's going to be an SMG. But again, Cush Point has been the entry man for his squad, and he's also the guy holding onto the bomb. So you see Penn State White members sitting over towards Boiler. Senso finds the kill off the peak. That'll be the bomb drop mid-map.
And again, a previous situation that we saw on the defense for Penn State White, that they were unable to scout that the bomb was dropped there. It seems that Senso is pretty aware of it as they are guarding it. The mama bird in their eggs. Penn State White, though, not necessarily having numbers advantage here. Sparky goes down. This is starting to get a little bit troublesome. They still have Ken on the cargo container, trying to wait for the sights to come on towards them, but Stevie is going on a tear. Will get traded out by Shades. I guess it's a mere consolation prize because the bomb had been picked up by Crozier. And now you're going to be able to work your way over towards this bomb site on B. You're going to be able to get this plant. And now for a 2v3 situation again for Penn State White.
Post plant setup for Humber will be on the post side of the cargo containers. Reading that Penn State White is likely playing from the flank side of things, which they are. Smoke play, Senso for 1. Shades not able to win his gunfight. It would have, again, led to a potential 2v1 the other way, but now it's a 1v2 situation for Senso. He does have Dead Silence ready. He's going to be able to find tunes for the first. Did you see him in Green Alley? That's the big question. He'll take the challenge, but not going to happen. 4-2, Humber Esports once again coming on top from a tight 2v2 situation. They find themselves up 2v1 and figure just able to clutch things up, putting themselves up now 4 rounds to 2.
I mean, you said it right there. Did they see them in the green alleyway? Obviously, the answer being no. Just a little bit of a glimpse, the top side of that player's model, and very unfortunate to see. And we're going to be more mid-map adaptations, too. If you remember on the previous offense, a Report found 3 to open things up. It's absolutely able to piece things together. Penn State White are looking to recreate the same magic, but it's going to be Sparky who worked their way here on the top side of green. Report is already through. They're on the top side of showers, and they get instantly blasted by Stevie's M4. They're going to have to wait for some sort of pick before this B bomb site becomes open because Humber, they got 3 members over here. 2 members are still looking over by A. Just going to be leaving Crozier now to lock this one through as Senso's looking through the coal mines for a potential opening of a Humber Esports member pushing their way through. There's no way that Penn State White get the bomb down anytime soon without a pick soon to follow. Shades drops.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. Penn State White either have to make a very desperate flank or win a gunfight where Humber would be hard scoped in, and well, they do win the gunfights on the flank as Sparky will flip things all the way back over to A. Big gunfight there between Stevie and Ken, which Stevie's able to take. Once again, numbers turning up in these 3v2s. Every single time Penn State's in a 3v2, they get turned around and it becomes a 2v1 the opposite direction. So now Sparky, He needs to be the one to try to hold things on this bomb planet A.
No.
And he's got absolutely no idea where Humber Esports players are. Crozier will find the kill with a little extra, and Humber Esports on the map point for the potential reverse sweep to get through this winner's, what is this, semifinals? Yes. Quarterfinals.
Quarterfinals, yeah. I also had to go back and look at the bracket. I was like, is it really? I thought that we were not that far. I mean, man. But still, massive place here for Humber, considering, again, how many times would it be? About 3, maybe 4 rounds that we've seen Penn State White with numbers advantage that they just lose.
It's really just coming down to a couple of 1v1s.
Yeah. Slightly little 1v1s will be the bearer of bad news, especially for Search and Destroy. Obviously, your mate's not spawning back, but how about this? Humber Esports going to be working the quick A bomb plant, but Figure goes down right before the plant goes through. Crozier's going to pick it up. They're going to start planting it. Senseless right around the corner here. Be working this exit elimination quite easily. 3v3 now for Penn State White. Take this bomb back and defuse it in 35 seconds on the clock.
Penn needs to read this play for the push one, and he just doesn't. Tunes wins another one. It's just down to report. A 1v3 plus a defuse is necessary. No dead silence. No information. He sees Stevie up top, who wins the gunfight. Humber Esports. It was close for a moment, but they stay now 38-0.
Oh. Shift, I truly thought that this was going to be the moment in time. Up 2 maps, but much like how Penn State White found themselves in numbers advantage in the Gunrunner Search and Destroy, they were up 2 maps in Humber Esports. They remind us why they are on such an impressive game win streak with a reverse sweep. They come back even at a mere 17-point deficit on Hackney Yard domination to complete just that. Blitzkrieg through Penn State White 250 to 134 on St. Petrograd hardpoint and absolutely smoke them. 6-2 Gunrunner Search and Destroy. What a comeback there for Humber Esports. Just reminding us that those members pretty damn talented.
Indeed, they are. A lot of resiliency built up, but you see the scores at the bottom part of your screen. It was a great start for Penn State White. They had a commanding lead on the Gunrunner hardpoint. Had a moment where we thought maybe Humber would find a way to come back. The round 11 in Ramaza, after Penn State White was, again, putting together a couple rounds in a row. They were able to take round 11, a very tight Hackney Yard domination, which Humber was just barely able to irk out. And then Map 4, more convincing. Map 5, tighter than the 6-2, I think would give it credit for. But Penn State White, not quite enough in the tank to get over Humber Esports, who, like we mentioned, will survive. So if we have a chance to take a look at our winners bracket as far as where exactly we are, never mind, brackets are currently broken, so I'll give you guys just the verbal rundown. Coming up next year on the main stream, Texas A&M Maroon will be playing up against Concord Maroon. We've also got Georgia Southern will be playing up against Humber. That'll be happening at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern after our first winner semifinal. But in the losers bracket, a lot of things going on currently. While off-stream, Full Sail will be playing Illini. UTD will also be playing Penn State White off-stream. But on the Bravo channel, Purdue and Carleton slated to be kicking off here any moment. So we'll send things to a break. Visions will be jumping in for me here to finish off our next series. We got a lot more College COD playoff action coming through. Don't go too far. We'll be right back with more.